This is Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. I'm going to dive into a question that's out there a lot, and I can promise you this is not clickbait where I'm going. A big question with all the transfer portal talk with football, with basketball, especially when, we're not seeing much activity with football as far as getting guys in the fold. Rick Barnes is still searching for more guard and wing help. And the big question is I'm seeing just, whether it's social media, whether it's on message boards, is Tennessee broke? I'm going to dive into that one here. Make sure you hit the like. If you know anybody that has not found the channel, share it out to them. Let them check them out, see what you think on that. And if you have not already and you like the content, hit that subscribe button. It is free. There's no obligation or anything to it. Is Tennessee broke? I would go this way. Is it a case? One thing I would say, it's always easy to spend somebody else's money when it's not your own. So is it a case of, is Tennessee broke, or is Tennessee not willing to overpay on it, which can cause roster issues? You overpay in this window. To me, this spring football portal window, this is backups. Are you really going to pay more for backups than you are starters right now? I don't see it. I don't see it. If Tennessee was broke, would they have been able to get David Sanders Jr.? Would they have been able to bring in the recruiting class that they just brought in this past season? Tennessee saved a little bit of money with Nico leaving, and then you turn around and pay Joey Aguilar a little over $1 million on it. It was said today, Pete Nakos on 3, that Jake Merklinger signed a new contract, which did give him an increase in pay as well. So he's up in the 6 figures. George McIntyre is up in them as well. So Tennessee's probably paying just for quarterbacks in the $2 to $3 million range right now. Could that change later on? Absolutely so. But if you look at it too, I don't see a broke roster. There's positions. Would I have liked to have seen Tennessee hit them harder in the portal? Yes, wide receiver is one of them. But to me, playing devil's advocate here, Kelsey Pope is on the clock. The spotlight is on him this year. Not a lot of people think very highly of him right now. But I still go back to, it was said last year, Georgia really wanted him. And based on where Georgia's been, I don't think Georgia's bringing any bum coaches in on it. I'm putting it more on, well, again, this is a prove-it year for him. This is his contract year. It's Glenn Ellerby's contract year as well. A lot of times your coaches, your positions look better when the quarterback play is at its highest. We've seen how much bad quarterback play have we seen going back to the 2008 season. It was a long time, other than the 2005 season, where Fulmer botched it with Ainge and Rick Clausen. We didn't see really, that was the only year we had subpar quarterback play for a long period of time. You got to 2008. That's when Cutcliffe went back to Duke. Dave Clawson comes in. Crompton, Nick Stevens. It was rough that year. Kiffin come in for 1 year. He turned Crompton around when it was all said and done. Then we had the Dooley era with Matt Sims and Tyler Bray. Tyler Bray had some good moments along the way. And, I'm not going to go back to all of them, but we saw the Butch Jones era. And my goodness, we saw the Jeremy Pruitt era where quarterback play was horrific during that time. But then you get in and Josh Heupel. I think it's a case they set the bar high with the Hendon Hooker. And people said, well, Heupel doesn't do a good job judging quarterbacks. I've seen it said even specifically recently that year Joe Milton was brought in, that anybody who was watching the practices and stuff said Joe Milton earned that job. It just so happened, sometimes things have a strange way of working out. But, here we are as well, looking at the portal and where we're at. The only name right now that seems, I think, is a real good possibility is Grand Valley State defensive lineman Josh Shell, who had just visited. And it seems to me like a pretty good opportunity with him. As it said, he's visited UCF, SMU, or he's going to visit SMU and possibly Kentucky. Now, with that said, if it comes down to money, who knows? And I would not put it past SMU having some money to spend. These Texas schools seem to have that money. Now, does that mean Tennessee's broke? No. But again, how do you view Josh Shell? Is he a starter or is he depth? To me, he's depth. So if he's in it for payday, we'll see how it goes along the way. Of course, Tennessee's not brought in any defensive line transfers in the window. Are they just not willing to overpay, or what's the deal there? We know they were outbid for Josh Thompson, offensive lineman from Northwestern, who ended up going to LSU. The one thing I would say, they addressed 2 starters on the offensive line. I think they did very well there. And I don't think you're getting either one of those guys if you're not paying them pretty good money. Wide receivers, one we could sit and say they could have been more aggressive. One thing I saw, and I suspected this, somebody asked Austin Price on VolQuest.com about did Tennessee have their eggs? Were they going all in on Carnell Tate? And did that affect them signing wide receivers? He point blank said yes. There was the rumors Carnell Tate could hit the portal. He had big offers behind the scenes. I would guarantee you Tennessee's one of them. I would guarantee it. And let's face it, back channeling is going on. Schools can't speak directly with them. But, yeah, there's all kinds of back channeling going on. It's such a crooked system. So, Tennessee, the problem with that, they went all in on him when he wasn't even in the portal. Maybe they were given the indication it was going to happen, and Ohio State paid him some pretty good money to stay. But Tennessee was not the only one that was going to be in on that either. There were some strong rumors about Oregon also. To me, where they dropped the ball is not picking up a good starter. And there were some guys in that could have come in and made a difference in that window in December, January. Right now in this window, I mean, the one guy I think's looked pretty good is Hurst from Georgia State, but I've not heard anything else. I've just seen that Tennessee was interested, but I've not seen anything else on him, and maybe something's already happened with that one. They've had numerous receivers cancel visits here as well. Had a dude from McNeese State who canceled. There was one from San Jose State who canceled as well. Maybe it's just the case they're not overpaying. So there's a part of me says with Brazel, with Matthews, with Staley, with Jackson, with Smith, you're going to have Joakim Dotson coming in. You got Amari Jefferson coming. You're going to have Boo Carter playing over there. If Tennessee's betting on themselves, their coaches, to develop these, and it happens, they're going to look pretty smart when it's all said and done. If we see the same issues persist that have happened the last 2 years, the drops, but, part of that too is quarterback play. If these things continue happening, you know what? It's, to me, going to be real easy at the end of this season because pretty much all your offensive coaches are on expiring contracts. Maybe not Darrell Sims, which he's earned his money so far. Ellerby, Halsley, Kelsey Pope, to me, they are all in prove-it years right now. And that's kind of funny to say on a team just come out making the playoffs. But that team made the playoffs in spite of that offense, in spite of subpar quarterback play. Dylan Sampson was a big reason for it. The receiver, Thornton was just drafted by the Raiders. Go Raiders. But, you look at the guys drafted, that tells you where they were. A part of me says Josh Heupel and staff did a pretty good job last year with what they had. You made the playoffs. It is what it is on it. But we're going to see. I think, I say think because based on what I'm looking at, I think you're good at quarterback. Now I say good. You've got depth. It's going to be about somebody proving it. That offensive line, if Ellerby is who Josh Heupel thinks he is, with Lance Hurd, with Moy Pendleton as your guards, Satterwhite center, David Sanders Jr., right tackle. I know there were people saying, well, Larry Johnson was never beating David Sanders Jr. out. It was never going to happen. If Tennessee was broke, they're not getting David Sanders Jr. on it. If Tennessee was broke, they wouldn't have got the signing class that they just got. It was a pretty good signing class that they had. It ranked 11th and 8th in the SEC, but still yet, You might say, well, if they paid more money, maybe they get a higher class. Maybe so. But based on what I've seen, is they put a lot of money into this class. So you got, for lack of a better term, a franchise tackle. You got possibly a franchise quarterback. You got 3 solid looking wide receivers. You had some pretty good looking linemen. You got some solid tight ends. You got a couple solid running backs. You got multiple big time talent on the defensive line. You brought in 3 to 4 really good linebackers. You brought in a bunch of defensive backs. Part of the name of the game is going to be developing your talent. That's where it's at. Wide receiver, I could have possibly seen it, but as what at the same time, if Chris Brazzell makes that year 2 jump like Dante Thornton did last year, all eyes are going to be on Mike Matthews to make that jump, Staley to make that jump, these freshmen to come in and contribute. How much does Boo contribute on offense? Other than that, I mean, you look at running back, I think you're good there. I think the offensive line, based on what we're looking at, can be better this year. We'll see with quarterback. I think quarterback position can be better. Nico was not out of this world in SEC play. All right. Defensive line, yeah, you may take a step back, but you've still got talent. There's some big time talent on that defensive line now. And really, all you need to add is depth. You just need depth. And there are some guys who could probably slide over if needed inside. You're pretty good on the end with Joshua Joseph, so Caleb Herring, with Jordan Ross, with some of these guys coming back. At linebacker, that's a unit to me that needs to develop. But there's guys who, hopefully they got kind of baptism by fire last year after Keenan Pili went out. And then in the secondary, I don't think there would be as much concern in the secondary if it were not for the uncertainty of Jermond McCoy. And, if he's back for that opener, we're good. If he just misses a couple games and he's ready for SEC play, I think we'll be all right. They weathered the Ricky Gibson storm, ever how much there was that. You've got Turrentine back at one safety. I know Jacoby Thomas hit the portal, but the dude was not starting. And, let's look at what he did last year. I mean, he knocked the piss out of some people, but other than that, what did he do? What did he really do? I'm not saying I'm glad he's gone by any means on it. I would have preferred he come back, but let's be realistic about the scenario. There's still some highly recruited guys back there. I mean, if Caleb Beasley takes a step, was playing some safety, Farouk, who they were pretty high on, do some of these freshmen possibly, take that step, as there were some pretty good things said about them there as well. That's a position that, I think there's all eyes on Tim Banks and Willie Martinez, but in Tennessee brought in a bunch of analysts too, guys who were veteran coaches who coached a lot in the NFL. Let's see how much that makes a difference too as well. And I don't know. I look at, is Tennessee broke? And it goes to basketball as well. No, they're not broke. They're just not willing to overpay for guys like a Rodney Rice. Rick Barnes and company wasn't paying over $3 million for him. Some will say you should have paid it, but should you? I don't know. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say it, but let's see how it ends up. I think they're still going to be fine on the wing and at guard when it's all said and done. And I know there's hope out there on Jordan Gainey. You're free to do what you want to, but here's, based on everything I'm reading, and I've read up on this very hard, the court case that's out there with the House settlement right now is not in regard to 5th year of eligibility. The term grandfathered in is mentioned, but it's mentioned because there's possible limits to other sports around the country, like cross country going from 30 scholarships to 17, or roster limits, 30 to 17. All this is out here on roster limits right now. It is not retroactively or grandfathered toward guys who just finished up eligibility. Now, there's dudes hitting the portal who are out of eligibility. Maybe there's something more they're learning, but based on the article I read today, which was on yahoo.com, it says it is specifically in regard to sports like cross country, volleyball, in regard to not adjusting those roster limits. That's where we're at. I would not count on. I would love for Jordan Gainey to get another year. Don't get me wrong on that. Would love it. I wouldn't count on it. No, I would not count on it. I don't see that happening soon. If I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong on it. But I've been thoroughly reading this since it's went in, and there's nothing that's changed my mind on this, and there's nothing out there that says this thing is imminently approving or anything like that. And there's nothing out there saying the judges are telling the NCAA they have to make these guys who graduated eligible on it. I think the whole thing's been misinterpreted with the grandfathered in. But I'm going to wrap up on that one. That's where we're at with it. But just to answer the question to me, no, Tennessee's not broke. Could they be more aggressive? Yes. Are they willing to overpay? No. And I think when it says if you overpay for a guy who's a backup, you're going to upset the apple cart. You're going to upset team chemistry. And it wasn't the case they couldn't pay Nico. Nico didn't earn it, and they stood up for it. We'll see where it is in the end. It was a gutsy move. Does it pay off or does it not? Frank, House of Orange, like, share, subscribe. Check out the links in the description. Channel membership, channel Patreon. Or if you just want to say thanks, bottom right-hand corner. Thanks. Have a great rest of your evening, and go Vols.